He's got to him, a lot of good at-bats, but then to not be able to close this out, how tough is it?
Yeah, we did some things today that we needed to do to win the game. I thought the at-bats were good. I think we swung the bats well. We were going to have to hold them down much more so than we did. There was a lot that went into that. We were going to have to throw better strikes. We have to throw the ball in the zone and challenge them with good pitches. We weren't able to do that today, and obviously the game got a little bit out of hand at one point too. So again, some things that we like to see and some things not.
Duffy was just in here pretty open and honest about how frustrated he is. What's it been like to see him have some of these tough outings?
Yeah, Duff has done a ton of excellent things for us over several years, and he's obviously in a little bit of a rough patch right now. In a game like today, being down by a run, still in the ball game, but being down by a run, I thought that's a good time to get him in there and actually get him back on the horse and let him go out there and do his job. He's a guy that I have a lot of faith in. He's thrown the ball, like I said, in a lot of big spots for us. And, this was a time to work through some things, I think, for him and still give him a chance to go out there and get 3 outs in a spot that still really mattered, but maybe not the same kinds of spots that he's normally pitched in. Obviously, it didn't go the way that we wanted to.
That was maybe the most animated that we've seen you out there at the discussion. Can you kind of tell us what I guess the explanation was to you on that?
Well, I think there was a few different things going on out there, and I really do have a ton of respect for the umpires that were out there on the field, and they're very easy to talk to. They're pretty transparent about everything all the time, Jim and Alex behind the plate. But I mean, the call being a foul ball with Kep's check swing was, I don't have a great angle from the dugout, but we know that it was, not a foul ball. And, we just wanted to get the calls right. Probably some frustration there also added to it. And I was talking balls and strikes about some of the other calls that were made in the game. So that's really all it was.
Silver lining, a really impressive night from Jorge Polanco. How much has he become a guy when you need somebody to help kind of get a rally going, a big hit in a big moment? How much has he become that guy?
Polo's a horse for us all the time. Simply being in the lineup constantly, whether he feels good or not, doesn't matter. He's always out there. And he finds ways to just produce. And, he'll go through a lot of spurts where he's swinging the bat great, but you really don't have a ton of concern, like if he goes through a stretch where maybe he's not feeling it at the plate the way he wants. He always comes out of it. He just continues to work. He puts in a good day of work every day, and then when the game starts, you have a lot of belief that he can go out there and put a good swing on the ball. It was a good day for him today, really good.
How's Louis?
Louis good. I was actually in the training room when he was going through his exam. He had some shoulder tightness. He's dealt with this in the past. This is more of a mild case, we think, than what he was dealing with last year when he dealt with something like this. So we'll work through it. We're facing Cortez tomorrow. We're facing a lefty, so could be a good day to get Louis a lot of work in the training room and then see what he can do, once the game starts, maybe not be in the starting lineup, but see if he can come in and help us.
You've been through it, I think, in 2019 where the bullpen had a rough couple months in the middle of the summer. Is there anything you can take from that when some of your trusted guys maybe aren't executing, guys that you are counting on? Yeah,
I think you kind of reset some things to zero. I don't try to play pitching coach. I do let Wes take control and set up a plan for each one of our guys. And you're always going to have times where guys are not throwing the ball the way that they want to, and even your trusted guys, that's going to happen. So you kind of get back down to the plan of what you're trying to accomplish when you get out there on the mound, and then beyond the plan, there's are we executing the plan? Are we throwing the pitches that we want to throw the way we want to throw them or not? And Wes is really good about that. He's done that many times over for us, and I know we'll get to the bottom of it, absolutely.
You said that felt like a good time to get Duff out there to work through some things. What made you think that was a good time?
The fact that, we were down by a run at that point. We're not in a tie game or up in any way. he just had the outing in Toronto too. It was a tough outing, and he knows that, and we know that, and that's fine. What's going to happen next is what's going to matter to us the most. And getting him back out there sooner than later was important. I didn't want him to sit on that last outing for very long, and so we took this opportunity to pitch him, and that was it.
Is there ever a point at which you and Wes in the dugout would consider that kind of situation, I guess, down by 1 or down by 2 in a close game like that to be a leverage situation?
We play a lot of close ball games. We are in, it feels like close ball games, most games in those spots. And if, we treat games where we're down as if we're up, then when we are up, we are not going to have the pitchers that we really, want set up to throw in those games. And, it doesn't always feel satisfying at times, and that's fine. But we have guys like Duran and Pagan, who's thrown late in a lot of games for us, and Joe Smith, and those guys have pitched mainly in games where we're winning, and we want them to be available and ready to finish ball games when the time comes.
From a stuff standpoint, how do you view Duffy compared to a couple years ago, I guess, or do you not see that as the biggest issue at this point?
We've seen different versions of Duff. We've seen the kind of the electric four-seam fastball at the top of the zone and the harder breaking balls. And then he picked up a sinker, and the velo, as happens with most guys, is a little down from where it was, at its high point, probably in 19 when I saw him. But he's found ways to get outs, and he's gotten a ton of outs for us with this version of who he is. And he knows what he's doing when he's out there on the mound. And I've actually just recently had some conversations about him as well, where his breaking ball, the velo on his breaking ball and such is in a pretty good spot right now. So it might just be the execution more than anything else for him, and I think he can make that adjustment.